Pain is temporary. Glory is forever. It's Ultimate Combat Radio. Only on 1280 and 97.5. The Zone.
Welcome back to Ultimate Combat Radio. Mike Stidham here talking a little mixed martial arts. And, you know, for the past 3, 4, 12, 15 weeks, I've been promising Joe, you got a segment, Joe. You got a whole segment. It's all yours. And then something really cool comes up. We start talking and we get sidetracked and I won't shut my mouth. Well, guess what? I'm turning off my microphone. It's all yours, buddy.
All right, well, I want you to chime in on this. So we're just going to break down the main card of last weekend's UFC, starting with...
one call, Shai Solomon.
Jimmy Heads. Should we take that phone call first?
I think we're going to... Joe, I don't think you were meant to have a segment, Joe. Somebody's calling us? They must have a wrong number. Who's there? What do you want?
What's up? Oh, not much.
How are you, man?
Just want to tell you I'm training UFC real hard. How are you doing?
Training some UFC real hard?
Yep.
Where are you doing all that training?
Bernalis Institute in Mushin. I love those schools.
Who is this?
What's that?
Shai the pizza guy.
Oh, is this
Yeah.
Shai? Oh, Lord, it's Shai, man. How are you, buddy?
How are you? Good.
Well, so, Shai, do you have any predictions for 2012? What do you think is going to happen that nobody else really has some good insight on?
2012.
In regards to MMA, I don't want to hear about your...
Right. Man, that's a good question, man. You got me.
Well, we've only been saying it all show long, you know, and I hate to surprise you with it like this. I'm just glad you called us. Were you trying to call for pizza or something and wound up calling us by accident?
Yep, I actually dialed the wrong number.
Okay. Well, Shai, what about this? Did you watch the UFC last week?
I sure did.
What do you think about Johnny Hendricks knocking out John Fitch?
God, I loved it, man. It was awesome because I think a lot of people loved it too. Because it was funny on the internet forum. There's a thread that said, "Is anyone bummed that John Fitch lost?" And everyone's like, "Nope," you know, because the consensus is that that he just grinds it out, doesn't go for the finish. And you know, I like watching him fight, but I'd rather not watch him. You know, I just don't think he's exciting enough. You know, he's tough and everything, but you know, it's like. That's one thing that's really turned me off from fights these days is like it seems like a lot of fighters like Fitch, you know, they'll like grind it out for the, you know, to do anything but lose, you know, to grind out the decision is what I liked at the old no time limit. So it was like there's only one way out. So no matter what you're going to do, you know, it's like there's one way out. You know, you're not going to be able to stall the whole fight. I like the no time limits, man.
Me too, buddy. Back in the good old days, you gotta love them. What do you think about the heavyweight matchup? What do you think about old Brock Lesnar going into retirement, getting kicked into retirement?
Well, man, he got rid of Eric Paulson and Greg Nelson. That was a horrible mistake on his part, you know. And
when you say got rid of, what? Give us the inside scoop on that. We didn't hear about that.
Well, they used to train him, you know, and you could, you know, and then he let him go. I'm not exactly sure what that was all about, but they weren't in his corner. And he had Matty Morgan be his head coach and these other wrestlers. It's like, what do they know about MMA, you know, compared to Paulson and Nelson, you know?
Hey, I agree. Well, good riddance, Brock, then. You're out of here, right?
I mean, it's just kind of a shame because he just whooped Frank Mir just recently, you know, just like a year ago, and now he's, like, retiring. You know, I mean, I thought his best chance was to bull rush a takedown, and the only time when he went for that single, he didn't even really commit. And it's like, come on, man. You know, he had a horrible strategy, I thought, trying to strike with the Overeem.
Well, you're right. Overeem's a better striker. We found that out. Now, Shai, I got to tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I was telling some guy, I asked him if he'd listened to our show. He goes, nobody listened to your show, but that Shai guy.
Right.
So I appreciate you listening, man. I appreciate you calling in, and I always love your insight because you did teach me something tonight. I didn't know about that Paulson had been cut from the roster. So good stuff, and call us back again next week, my man.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
All right,
Appreciate
Joe, get back to work.
Should I clean out my locker?
Oh, buddy. That went your segment.
All right, Jim Heads defeated Nam Pham, unanimous decision, and that's that Jim Heads kid is 10-0 now.
That That wasn't an exciting fight to me.
Yeah, I think he's tough though. I think he's one to watch. I think he'll be coming up to the ranks. Alexander Gustafsson knocked out Vladimir Matyashenko.
I just want to know, how is this Matyashenko even in the UFC?
His last fight, he had an 8-second knockout.
But it was one of those. He closed his eyes and threw a
Tito
punch.
knockout.
Yes, I mean, I honestly think this guy's a bum, and I don't get it. And hopefully he's gone now.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he just got a little too old. So.
Well, and then I saw some guys posting, or somebody. It was actually a writer that was writing about the guy who beat him. He's the next John Jones. Did you see that dominant? And I'm like, you just beat the crap out of an old guy. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
And then we got Johnny Hendricks, 12-second knockout over John Fitch. And
whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah, man. That was exact.
And I think everybody at Leatherheads turned and looked at you.
I know. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Pretty exciting.
And then my favorite fight, Nate Diaz defeated Donald Cerrone in just spectacular fashion.
He didn't defeat him. He beat the crap out of him. And that was really an ass beating. It was that bad.
Diaz set the CompuStrike record. They, those people that keep track of everything for
numbers guys.
For an MMA 3-round fight, landed 82% of his strikes, connecting with 258 out of 314 strikes.
Well, yeah. What about all those cool sweeps that Cerrone was doing?
In comparison,
hey, those were cool, man.
You got to do something with them, though.
I don't know, man. I didn't get his strategy. I just.
But so Cerrone, in comparison, landed 33% of his strikes, hitting only 66 out of 200 attempts. So it just shows how much better a fighter Diaz is. I think his boxing is incredible.
Well, you know what I'm shocked by that is that they say Cerrone threw 200 strikes because I didn't see him throw 20.
He swept like 5 times.
That's the thing is he would get hit 20 times and then get swept. Or then he'd get a sweep.
Yeah.
Then he'd take 20 more shots. And it wasn't that Diaz was such an accurate puncher. Cerrone just kept stepping into punches, not moving his head at all, and just taking them blap, blap, blap. And then, oh, yeah, watch this. And would sweep him and then, or attempt to sweep him, and then he'd get punched in the face again.
And then when he did sweep him and take him down, he wanted nothing to do with Diaz's ground game.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If you're going to sweep somebody, then go get on.
It doesn't.
That's
it. I was arguing with people at Leatherheads because they were saying, "Oh, we got a takedown." Well, no, you don't get a takedown until you establish control.
You got to go down.
Yeah,
you got to take. That's all you got.
Just the same. That's the same as a trip or a slip.
Yeah. Well.
Anyways, then Alistair Overeem obviously defeated Brock Lesnar, beat him into retirement like I told Kaiser he would. Overeem will face JDS for the title. They're saying sometime in the summer.
They haven't set a date or anything.
No, they're just trying to do for the summertime.
Why do you suppose it is that they make you wait 6 months for that?
You know how they are with those title fights.
Is it heavyweights that they make you wait that long for, or is it just as a general rule?
You know what? I think it might be Overeem because you remember the problem he had with Strikeforce, how he didn't feel he had enough rest and enough time to prepare. So maybe they're just giving him what he wants because he's the big thing right now.
Well, that's the other thing, though. I mean, Overeem did kind of make people mad over at Strikeforce when he wouldn't take that big fight because said he was injured,
Yeah.
And man, how's that going to go over here? Now you kind of have to cater to him. You put him up there. You got him beat up Brock Lesnar, beat up your superstar. Now you kind of have to cater to the guy.
Except for he can't say he got injured because he didn't really. I don't think Brock did anything to him.
Where do you guys think Frank Mir fits into the heavyweight conversation?
Great question. You know what? He's busting arms and taking names.
I think Frank Mir is probably number 3 behind Overeem, JDS, and Frank Mir if you were to line him up right now.
I tell you what, man, you got to have him in that conversation. And I totally left him out when I was talking earlier. I think he's every bit as good as any of those guys. And that's what I'm saying. There's so much parity that on a given day, any of those guys could beat each other. And he is certainly right on that level with all those guys.
It's so cool that the UFC finally has an interesting heavyweight division. I mean, we've been waiting for years to talk about heavyweights like this. It's awesome.
And all they had to do was buy out Strikeforce all this time.
Strikeforce knew what they were doing, huh?
Yep. They did. That was a beautifully executed plan.
There was an estimated 800,000 pay-per-view buys for this last UFC because of Brock. I thought it was going to be a lot higher. I thought we were going to do at least 1 million, but
well, we got a lot of people to come watch the one buy over at Leatherhead, so that kind of killed them a little bit.
What was? Is that a lot though? I mean, big picture, maybe not as much as you expected, but
where did that rank in terms of the others?
They're usually about 250, 350,000. There's some big ones. It's a big buy. They're talking about how they're calling it the post-apocalyptic pay-per-view because who's going to be the one that carries the GSP's injured?
Right.
You don't have Brock anymore. Who's going to be the guy that's going to be that big pay-per-view draw for a couple times a year?
Not only was Brock a compelling figure, but he was in a compelling fight. You've got GSP, who they were putting against bozos and trying to hype, and you've got Spider they're putting against bozos and trying to hype. That was a legitimate superstar guy going up against a very legitimate, obviously, opponent. So that's what I think. It's not so much Brock; it was Brock in a really cool division.
Yeah, and then I've always wondered what the bonuses are for the fighters off of the pay-per-view buys, and I read somewhere that Overeem got $2 per buy for all the pay-per-view buys.
Really?
So and I can only imagine what Brock got.
Well, and he owes me a beer.
Yeah, so I've always found it interesting because they never release those numbers. So
that is interesting.
And whoever said that the fighters don't get paid enough is full of it.
Those guys that are bringing those big
Yeah.
pay-per-views, they're making good money. So
all right, Joe's got some top fives from 2011. We're going to be talking about those and whatever else we can come up with.
Our
I can get a segment.
As long as those crazy listeners don't interrupt us anymore. We got more Ultimate Combat Radio by Aztec Highway when we come back.